Hello and welcome everybody. Today we are doing a small discussion over a movie that we just watched. And I've brought with me,
Hi guys, it's me. It's Casey Tape.
and we just saw the Mario movie not 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And we've been letting our thoughts digest as we hopefully have this video out for later on Monday. Later, you know?
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
So let's start with the baseline. How was this movie? In my opinion, it was good. What was your thoughts, Casey?
I really liked it. Kind of sad it was as short as it was, but I liked it.
Yeah, I think that's the running consensus right now, is that it was good, it was fine, it worked, but it needed to be longer. Not because the movie needed it, but because it would have been fun.
It would have been.
This movie's not trying to be pretentious. It's not trying to be like, movies are odd. It's like, it's just going in and having fun, which is something a lot of people seem to forget.
That's the whole point of a movie.
It's kind of supposed to be fun. It's like playing a game. It's supposed to be fun.
Exactly.
Quote Reggie, if it's not fun, why bother?
Yeah, indeed.
So, movie was good.
I really liked it.
I think we should start by saying, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, because this is going to get into heavy spoiler talk.
Yes, indeed it will.
Now, me and Casey have both seen the original 93 version,
Mm-hmm.
and for as much as I enjoy that movie, I think both of us are in agreement that this one is way better.
Yeah.
Even though we had a lot of fun with 93, and we were totally down to watch it again, 2023 was really good.
Sierra, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, 30 years ago, and they finally found a way to make a really good Mario movie.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Really crazy, especially when you realize that not only is this like a big step up for Illumination, but just a big step up in general.
Yeah, because we found out today that it's one of the biggest.
It's the highest.
highest.
It's the highest grossing animated movie on opening box office weekend.
And let's see here, it was 377
Million,
0.6?
0.6 million right as of now. However, it's going to go up.
It is. It beat Frozen 2.
And The Lion King and lots of other different Disney movies, and it's kind of, that's a huge step up for Illumination, and that's not something I would have expected out of, because I'm a bit of an animation snob when it comes to animation. Oh my gosh, the guy who can draw and animate is a snob for certain animation styles. Yeah, no, I nitpick animation, and if it doesn't look good, I get really upset. But well, I mean, like, from a big studio, not from any individuals, but
Okay.
because they know better. If the animation doesn't look great, it's like, come on, guys.
Come on, you can do better.
But no, if I think what I said when we sat down to eat after the movie was, if you would have sat me down and told me that was animated by Disney, I would have believed you.
Yeah, the quality in it was really good.
The lighting, the effects, just everything.
The storytelling itself as well.
The models.
The models were really good.
They were on point.
I mean, the one thing we did talk about is if you were to like see snippets of the Minions movie without seeing any characters that looked, of the main cast, you could still tell, hey, this is Illumination.
Yeah.
Or anything else, The Life of Pets, anything.
This one, it got close, but it didn't get close enough.
Because the only thing you see that can give it away as Illumination was the intro, and that's it.
I think it was the dog. The dog really was the only thing that...
Yes, the dog and...
It felt like it was the exact same model from Secret Life of Pets.
Or at least close enough to it.
Yeah, it was... There was a dog scene at the very beginning. I think we should probably start talking about the story now.
Yeah, and how we kind of predicted how it would turn out.
Yeah, probably. So, what happens is it opens up with with Bowser attacking the Iceland kingdoms, and then go from there. He gets the Power Star, or Superstar, I believe was what they called it.
It was the Superstar.
It was the Superstar, which is the invincibility power up from
one. And every other game following.
And every other game.
Except for Galaxy.
Except Galaxy, because they got the Rainbow Star. So he got the Starman, and from there it cuts over to a Mario Brothers plumbing ad, which was an extended version of the one they showed in the trailer.
Exactly.
And
the one that they revealed during the Super Bowl.
yeah, that one at the Super Bowl, which made me chuckle. That was like the best going into a Chili's I've ever had. And I've never been into a Chili's before. I'm never going back either. No, then afterwards they're sitting around a pizzeria, and they're just gushing about the ad, and they're hoping for a phone call. And then they get Foreman Spike basically telling them they're a bunch of jokesters and they can't get anything right. And
they made a mistake of quitting their jobs at the Wrecking Crew.
And Foreman Spike owns the Wrecking Crew, so they're not being hired back.
And we get to see our first appearance of Mario's origins, the Jumpman.
The Jumpman. Yeah, he's in the corner.
Yeah, not only the cabinet featuring, I believe you said, early concepts for the arcade machine.
So in the early versions of Donkey Kong, the title was not it wasn't set in stone. So they drew up logos for Jumpman, Donkey Kong, and there was one other one, and they didn't end up going with Jumpman, but it was really, really close to the point where they had, I think, a prototype marquee printed out.
Yeah, they did, and which was used.
That was used for the cabinet in the movie.
And the person playing it was none other than the Jumpman himself, actually.
It looked like the way Mario used to look. He had like a bluish blackish hair. He had red overalls that were kind of thin around his shoulders, and he wore a blue shirt.
And of course, the famous and all recognizable red cap.
And Charles Martinet's voice.
That, I think, was the nicest touch, too.
Yeah. And so then the Mario Brothers get a call, and they try to get to the place, and they take their truck, but the truck breaks down, like, right immediately. They just can't get it to start, so they're booking it for the place, and they're running through, and they run through an entire Wrecking Crew style version of 1-1.
Which I thought was really cool.
It was a nice touch, and it was something I didn't really immediately notice. I was looking up trivia and stuff for this, so that way I could be more knowledgeable than I am.
So subtle.
It was just really fun watching the brothers bounce around.
I mean, Luigi over there on the bottom, you could see he was struggling a lot, and then Mario...
just easy breezy all the way through to the end.
I can't believe, like, that entire scene, I was like, there's gonna be a 1-1 reference in this scene in particular. I never saw it until we looked it up afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is that we ended up looking up. We missed so many secrets as we were watching that
There was a reference to the Game & Watch, to a Game & Watch game, when Mario was swinging on that chain, if I'm correct.
Yeah, there were all sorts of different little Game & Watch references throughout. But that wasn't even just it. Like, the pizzeria was called the Punch-Out Pizzeria.
Yeah.
And across the street there was Discoon, like, repair shop, which was used the Famicom Disk System logo.
Which I thought was really cute. Glass Joe and Doc and Little Mac can be seen on posters in the background of the pizzeria.
Yeah, there was all sorts of little things here or there that made me, like, really love this. And then when we got to the first shot, their first job, I was like, okay, I really hope this goes well for him. Except it didn't, because Luigi stepped on a bone and it snapped, and the dog hates the brothers. And then instead of the family being like, oh well, let's make sure the dog isn't interrupting the plumbers, they just let it go loose and make a wreck out of their bathroom.
Yeah, and of course the brothers get the blame for it.
Yep. So then they're out of a job, and there's their first bad review. And then they make it back to their family, which I found out when it cuts over to the dinner scene. So every one of those family members was based on either an unused concept or something that showed up on some other piece of media. So the entire family of Marios really did feel like they came straight out of the games. And I'm really glad we got that now. I'm also really glad we got to see a reference to Stanley the Bugman.
I was really happy about that.
Even if it's very small, like, there's a young kid sitting at the table, and he's got the same pattern clothing and no mustache, just like Stanley. So.
And the iconic big nose.
Yep.
Another thing I found really interesting is we get a bit more of a glimpse into Mario and Luigi's personality outside of being, you know, the heroes of the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario does not like mushrooms.
And Luigi absolutely adores them. And of course we see the Mario's dad is a bit rough around the edges and straight to the point. His mother's a bit more sweet, and his uncle is just an absolute jerk.
What was the name of the uncle from Home Alone? That's who he reminds me of.
Yeah, I feel it.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
Yeah. I feel that. That was definitely the vibe they were giving off.
Yeah, I did like to see. We finally get to see Mario and Luigi's parents. And this is canon, if I'm correct?
This is now canon as far as I'm concerned. I don't care.
Because all we saw was a pair of hands from the SNES game and silhouettes.
We saw Mario's grandfather in a picture on the wall of an old promotional image that was used for a Mario toy chest.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, that is a very old concept, and the older grandfather-looking gentleman matched nearly identically
to his grandfather.
Yeah, so
who was being fed.
The only difference was I believe he was wearing a plaid shirt instead of a yellow one, which was fine with me. I don't care.
But because you're gonna understand, back then, big and flashy colors were what caught people's attention.
Yeah. So with this scene was, you know, really good. The food rendering was looking gorgeous.
I actually got hungry in the theater.
There were a lot of lines in this movie that got a laugh. I think there were a lot
everyone in the theater was laughing.
Yeah, everybody was pretty hyped to see this, and there were some pretty good lines, I must say. They landed the comedy bits that they put in.
Yeah, they did.
I was a little worried it was going to be all comedy.
Yeah, I was really terrified that we were just going to be like, joke here, pun here, adult joke here, pun here, joke here, like something like that. But no, they spaced them out. They put them in really good places, too.
Yeah, this movie felt, though, like it was moving really fast.
It did, because another thing that this movie specializes in is really smooth transitions to where it feels like a blur.
And it was only a 90-minute movie, so when, like, we said we wanted more, we wanted more. Like, this movie needed a little bit more to it. Then after going through that bit of the movie, we ended up with... oh shoot, what was it?
It was the Mario Brothers in their room.
Oh, right, yeah.
Talking, because Mario feels discouraged after what his father said to him, and Luigi's trying to comfort his brother up.
Yep, and Mario was playing Kid Icarus. Which makes me laugh even more, because we did that Kid Icarus playthrough of Myths and Monsters and the NES game, and, oh my god. After the theater, I think you looked at me and went, milk drinker?
I did! I said... I wonder if the person on your stream who called you a milk drinker went to go see this movie, saw that, and went, oh. Because in the movie, Mario fails in his mission to save, I forget what it is.
Palutena. You even stopped the challenge room. They just couldn't beat it.
Yeah.
Take that, Mario. I got one up on you.
You used rewinds. That's not fair. Aside from that, there's a couple of references and nods to other things. Well, first off, Mario's actually playing on a real NES.
There was Punch-Out in the background. There was F-Zero on the walls.
An R-Wing.
An R-Wing on top of the TV. There was a Samus poster. There were all sorts of little references here or there, but I think that we're done referencing references because...
It's just gonna take us forever to get done with this video.
If we did that, we would be here for an hour.
Yeah.
And that's...
We don't want to...
we don't want to dice it too much, because this movie's really good, and I think...
Plus, we should leave some things for you guys to find when you watch it.
Yeah, because there's a lot. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss one or two.
Anyways, after that, we get a news report on...
the sewer busting open. And the brothers just head down there without any disregard to everything. Try to make it across the little pipe. Absolutely fail, smash into a wall. And then they see the old disrepaired pipes and...
the original sewer system, which is a very big nod to 93. Which I thought was really cool, because I was like, this pipe system looks familiar.
Now, it's also a reference to the original Mario Bros., but either way, it looked just like something that you'd see in the 93 film.
Because I remember there was that scene where they were underneath Bowser Castle with all the pipes.
And it looked nearly identical. It was accurate, it was gloomy, it was dark, but it didn't clash with the feeling of the movie. But then immediately, Luigi gets sucked to the pipe, Mario turns around, tries to find him, and they both end up getting sucked into the pipe. And then they get split up down through the pipe, because, of course. And Luigi ends up in the Darklands, and Mario ends up
right outside the Mushroom Kingdom.
Right outside the Mushroom Kingdom, where he meets a toad.
Not named just a toad, the toad.
Yeah, his name is Toad. And here was my big concern for the movie, and I think a lot of people have this concern for the movie, if they haven't seen it yet, is, did they make Toad into just another minion? Like, as in Minions the character? Because Illumination's good at that. They're good at marketing and branding and making things appear everywhere. Luckily, a lot of the Toads had different personalities. A lot of them had
They had different voices, even though they were all high and squeaky in some points. You could tell this Toad was not this Toad, it's a different one. And
none of them really took away from the main Toad character that we followed.
Yeah, because Toad has his own unique voice.
It's really hard to just say, this is Toad when the race is Toad. I guess I should just say all of the Toadstool people acted differently, sounded differently, and it was really refreshing because they weren't just another minion. They don't feel like a character that they're just going to splatter everywhere and call it a day.
And make jokes constantly, like,
not just banana everyone laugh. Like, that's
yeah, they felt like in an actual, like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Ecosystem.
Yeah, like a group of people, which was nice because it didn't feel like disingenuous to the Mario franchise.
We saw different Toads working in marketplaces, you know, running their own shops, selling food.
Mario's in absolute disbelief at all of this, and they're making their way to the castle, and Mario is getting looks and getting beat up because of all of the piping, and by the time they get to the top there, the guards tell Mario the princess
isn't. He's like, here, how about this? The princess is in another castle. The princess isn't here.
Yeah, they're really messing with him.
They were phoning in on that reference, but it was.
They were phoning in. They were phoning it in, but it felt.
It's so charming.
It felt realistic. It felt like what somebody would say to get them away from the gate, even though it is a reference.
I know.
And then they Then Toad decides, no, they're messing with you, and starts cooking them a meal to try to get them distracted.
Which was amazing. He was like, well, I'm gonna cook you something. He's like throwing in ingredients, putting them in bowls, asking them what they'd like.
Mario just slips around, and then it's a chase through the castle as it cuts over to the Princess of the Toadstools, Princess Peach. And I must say, she does a lovely job.
She does.
And I was not expecting it to sound like Peach. I wasn't expecting her to feel like Princess Peach.
She felt more lifelike than she does in the games.
Which is surprising, but it was really a nice refresher. It felt like we were watching a mixture of the Super Show, Princess Daisy from the 93 movie, and of course the Princess Peach that we've been playing and seeing in games for years, which was a really nice. It was like a happier version.
I'm not just a damsel in distress. I can fight too, sort of.
And
thing.
it wasn't carbon copy Daisy, which was nice.
Which is what I was really happy about.
That was a small worry, was that they were just gonna be like it Daisy, but it's not. It totally different perspective.
I'm really happy about that.
And then to go along with that, we cut back over to the Dark Lands, and we get Luigi getting chased by dry bones into a castle. And he's, of course, too quick to celebrate when he knocks a dry bones down, because it comes right on back.
Uh-huh. Aside from that slight jump scare, there were a couple of other really cool things, like the Luigi's Mansion motif, and the fact that the Darklands have very similar trees and foliage to the Bow Woods.
Yeah, it was really incredible to see all of it on the big screen in that huge resolution, because it was just really pretty.
It was, okay, even though it was the Darklands, it didn't feel like purple lighting, red lighting. It's supposed to be gloomy and dark. No, it actually felt like
it was foggy, and it felt like we were walking into a haunted woods, and then it slowly transitioned into a lava-filled hellscape.
It did. It went from really dark and muddy and, to you're stepping on brimstone and you're dodging lava.
But of course, as Luigi is moving through here, he ends up getting captured by some Shy Guys and a Sniffet.
That was scary, actually.
That was actually a kind of terrifying scene.
Because he breathes a sigh of relief, and then lightning flashes, and you can see a whole bunch of masks.
One of the big worries about going to a movie theater now that we can go back to movie theaters is that we're gonna have interruptions from other people, or there'll be children crying. This was the only time we heard a child cry, and he only cried for like, I don't know, a second, and then the mother dragged them out of the theater,
and then we had that one guy in the back.
Oh, right, yeah, there was one guy who was kind of loud, but
he was overly hyped.
He was very hyped, and
he was respectful about it. He wasn't doing it throughout the whole movie. He only did it like 3 times. He started a few claps here and there.
But it was good. It wasn't like a bad theater experience, but I think really helped this movie be elevated a little bit, because it wasn't like there was a kid behind me kicking my seat. There wasn't some parent on their phone yelling and crying and screaming all the time. No, it felt like everybody was into the movie, which was good.
Yeah.
It held everybody's attention, including the children, which was just phenomenal.
Yeah. Moving forward, though, we do get a small glimpse into the brothers' past.
I thought that was later.
Was it?
I thought that was way later.
Oh, my bad.
That was later into the movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Because the next thing that happens is Mario encounters Peach.
That's right. I'm sorry. My mind is in a bit of a scramble.
Yeah, so Mario encounters Peach, and they catch glances, and Mario thinks, oh my god, there's another human that I can have a discussion, and we can get things figured out. And then Princess Peach grabs Mario by the hand and flips him over. Whereon he is immediately attacked by toads. Of course, Peach makes them get off of him, and
Mario gets kicked in the rib.
Yeah, pretty hard. And they end up. Mario's like, no, you got to take me with you to the Dark Lands, because the Peach is gonna go over to the Kong Island to hopefully try and
negotiate with them.
Get the Kong army to help stop King Koopa. And Mario wants to go, and Peach says, well, we're leaving in the morning. How about you try the training area?
Ooh, yeah,
And this is where we have the introduction of power-ups existing. And Mario does not want to eat the super mushroom. And then he gets really big. And then he fails a ton.
A ton. They started around evening to noon.
Evening to noon, and ended
at the sunrise.
Ended at the sunrise, and Mario didn't even complete the course.
But Peach knew that his determination wasn't going to let him fail.
Yeah, so they all headed out, and Mario got really close. He almost got to the top of the flag, but he didn't make it.
What was it? He got hit in the head with something?
Yeah. I believe he got hit by a
fake bell. Was it a bullet bell that hit him?
Bullet bell did hit him once or twice, but I think it was the piranha plant.
Oh, you're
caught
right.
him off guard. A robotic piranha plant, not a real life one, which was nice.
Yeah.
It was a nice attention to detail that it was just a training course and not so much something that's meant to kill. Overall, it was nice. It was a really good showing for that, and then immediately after they start leaving, of course, they leave the kingdom, and all the toads are looking at the princess great, and then turn over and see Mario following her, and they're like, "Who's that?" And then Peach just goes, "Nobody important," and then they just start cheering again.
He's not important. I thought that was the most funniest thing ever in the movie. There were a couple of other really good jokes like that.
Yeah, it was something that was really it felt nice with their jokes. It was nice and subtle. And then going from that back over to Bowser, who now has Luigi in his clutches, who is playing a piano. And essentially gets told by Kamek that, hey, there's a mustachioed plumber with the princess, and I know you want to marry the princess, but it seems like he might be wooing her.
Oof.
Oof indeed. But Bowser gets upset, smashes the grand piano's cover on top of
Kamek's
hands.
Which felt painful. Like my hands started hurting.
And then one of the next scenes, or the scene, or like earlier on in the scene, he ends up running into Luigi, who has been captured by the Shy Guys. Which you said it was weird to see a Shy Guy with a voice.
Oh, it wasn't a Shy Guy. It was a Sniffet.
Yeah.
When I hear Shy Guys, they don't really have a voice. They just make noises. But the Sniffet, I was expecting to have a much different tone, similar to the ones they did in 64. But
nope.
Then he just went, "We found this guy." I'm like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Back up.
Yeah, no, and then Luigi ends up saying that line from the trailer where, you know, matching mustache, same hat, first letter of his first name.
I don't know anybody like that.
And then Luigi gets thrown into a dungeon and into a little cage hanging over a lava pit, and of course there's a little Loomba there, and the Loomba is not holding up real well. It's having an existential crisis as it makes everything gloomier for everybody else in there.
He reminds me of the Muffin from ASDF movie.
He really does. And
he gives me the same vibe.
He was doing the same voice.
Oh my gosh, what if?
What if it's just the same guy?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Somebody kill me!
Oh yeah, it was...
Going forward, we're getting on a tangent.
We're getting on a little bit of a tangent. So then we go from that to then we went from that to the Mario and the Princess like traveling from the Mushroom Kingdom all the way over to the Kong Kingdom, and by the time they get to the Kong Kingdom, they realize it's absolutely crazy there. They're all driving around in carts.
The roads are about as big as the carts themselves.
And this was where I started to realize it wasn't just one or two Kongs they were referencing. It wasn't just like Lanky and Swanky. It was every single. That is a real Kong.
I've never heard of them.
They're from one of the games. The comments section will definitely tell me if I miss any. But yes, they absolutely used every single Kong, including ones from the Donkey Kong Country cartoon.
The Jungle Beat game.
They used ones from... They referenced the DK kart racers, including Diddy Kong Racers and Donkey Kong Racers. for Wii.
Yeah, they did.
Barrel Blast, they used stuff from all sorts of different ones, and they kept it consistent with Cranky and Cranky Kong being Donkey Kong being Cranky Kong's son, and that being Donkey Kong being Junior, which was really clever. But he
does call him Junior.
Yep. Cranky does call him Junior, which makes DK Jr. yes, canon. That's the canon logic there.
It always has been.
And yeah, I know, but some people are weird like that. I've seen some that it's like Junior and then Donkey, and I'm like, that's not how that works. But going from that to that, it was really interesting to see Cranky Kong with a voice that wasn't what I was used to, because anytime I've heard Cranky Kong, I think the DK country cartoon. and that
I've
voice...
never watched it, so I don't know.
That voice is a very stereotypical old man. Think like Christopher Lloyd doing a grumpy impression. So hearing a different voice out of Cranky was a little weird at first, but I got used to it, and it really did fit by the end. I think that's another thing that we should probably talk about. All the voice actors did a fantastic job.
Even Chris Pratt. That was the one concern we had with the movie.
Was Chris Pratt was going to phone it in, and he didn't, which was nice.
We actually were blown away.
So, yeah.
You did miss 2 scenes, though.
Well, what's that?
Well, one of them, which is somewhat not important, because it's the scene where Bowser is talking to his minions, announcing that he has finally gotten the Power Star.
Oh, right, yeah, but...
and then announces that he wants to marry Princess Peach.
It kept cutting back and forth between Bowser and the
That's
main
how fast-paced this was.
So, when I'm condensing stuff down here to try to get through this recap. So...
yeah, I'm sorry.
In order to get the Kong Army side, Cranky says that they've got to beat his son. And Mario ends up using the cat power suit and absolutely beating up Donkey Kong.
I was surprised on how agile Mario was going to be with it.
And then right afterwards, Donkey Kong is not happy that he lost. Because he had the crowd wooing for him. Diddy pulled out DK bongos and everything. It was a little wild at that point. I think honestly though, after the Kong scene, we jumped right into a Mario Kart reference, which was okay.
They used the music.
They did use the music, and it was really charming. But I was really worried that the entire movie was I was worried that the rest of the movie was just going to be Mario Kart.
Because of
how
much they showed in the trailer.
It was just constantly Mario Kart, Mario Kart, Mario Kart in the trailers.
I think the reason why they did that was to throw us off.
I think it was about to throw us off, but
and also not show too much.
Probably, but I also think that it was a marketing ploy to advertise Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's new DLC.
Okay, you could say that.
I think I will, because I think that we're gonna get another Kong on the roster.
I hope so.
But I wasn't excited for the racing scene, but it got me sucked in, and then by the time that we were on the road, it started falling apart with everything that hit it. There was a huge fight scene. The Koopa army ambushes the Kong army, and by the time it's all over, Mario's in the ocean and everybody is being picked
off one by one. There's a whole bunch of chaos on the road.
It was a really fun set of scenes to watch.
I actually do like the combat that took off carts, because Mario had to think on his feet quite literally in certain cases.
But once the Mario and DK are in the ocean, they get eaten by Unagi.
Yeah,
A gigantic one, bigger than any game that I've seen.
It was bigger than the ones in Galaxy, which is what was surprising to me.
It's bigger than the one in
Odyssey. Odyssey's ones are really huge.
Yeah, and they're bigger than that one.
That Unagi was about like a megalodon. Like,
yeah.
It was as big as a megalodon. That thing was huge.
And Peach ends up racing all the way back to the Mushroom Kingdom to get the people to evacuate. And Mario and Donkey Kong use one of the barrels to ignite and blast out of the eel's stomach. Where in point it gets coughed up out into the open, and they ride the barrel all the way.
Which is kind of surprising. Do you realize how much fuel that they burned doing that?
Probably a ton, but knowing
as the Kongs have mastered making carts.
Knowing the DK Donkey Kong Country Returns, you can get really far on those barrels.
Yeah, because isn't there an entire game or an entire level that consists of that?
There are 7 or 8 of them,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like.
There was a lot of really nice references here that were fun, and by the time that Bowser got over to the Mushroom Kingdom, he tries to propose to Peach. Peach doesn't want to do it, but accepts, and then by the time that they go out for the wedding scene, Peach swaps it out with an ice flower and starts trying to save everybody because Bowser was going to sacrifice all of the Kongs, Luigi,
the penguins,
and everybody else into a giant pit of lava for Peach. And Peach doesn't want that.
Of course not.
And then Mario and Donkey Kong end up using power-ups all the way to hopefully save Princess Peach. And they end up using the Tanuki suit, and Donkey Kong gets to use a fire flower. And it was just really fun. We got to see King Boo and King Babam,
which was something really cool. I really like what they did with Babam, but I really love what they did with King Boo, with going back to the original designs of Boos when they first appeared.
It was really cool to look at. And then they end up saving Luigi and everything, but of course Mario's got to stop a gigantic bonsai bill from hitting the Mushroom Kingdom, and instead he hits the warp pipe that connected the two worlds and merging them, just like in the 93 movie.
Yeah.
And once the two worlds were merged, a giant brawl happens in Brooklyn with power-ups, and it's all a race for the Starman. And Mario ends up trying to go for it, and Luigi ends up having to save him with a sewer
with a manhole cover.
Yeah,
which I thought was really good because it references to the original movie where Luigi learns to be brave.
Well, Mario is the one trying to be brave there in the original movie.
You know what I mean, like.
But yeah, well. Either way, we got to the end of the movie, they got the Power Star, it played a fantastic remix that is up on YouTube, I believe, if you look up the motion picture soundtrack.
It was gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous piece, and by the time it was done, and by the time they had gone all the way through it, the Mario Brothers had saved Brooklyn and went back to the Mushroom Kingdom to work as plumbers, which was just a fantastic ending, and Bowser ended up getting caught into a side of a jar. Good movie. There were 2 post-credit scenes, one with a Yoshi egg, and then there was one mid-credit scene
with Bowser still
doing the other part of the Peaches song, which we should probably say is a really good track. However, I do wish they would have used "Ignorance is Bliss," which is an unused track.
Oh, the one where they referenced Junior.
Yeah, that one was really fun, but, you know.
Speaking of, the Koopalings or Junior don't really get a reference aside from the piano.
Yeah, piano by Ludwig von
Koopa.
Yeah. But the movie overall, very good. I would say go watch it. It's a good time for younger audience members. It's a good time if you remember Mario Brothers. It's a good time if you're just looking to have a laugh and shut off your brain. Certainly a good movie to watch. I am glad I spent the money on the tickets. Any closing thoughts, Casey?
No.
Just go watch the movie?
Yeah, go watch the movie. Do it.
I think the only other thing we could have to say is I think both of us are in agreement that Sonic 2 was a little better.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
Me and Truman were in agreement that Sonic 2 and 1 were a little better than this.
I don't really hold one above the other, because...
Well, I mean, like, I think I had more fun watching Sonic run around.
That's fair, But you are slightly biased with Sonic more than Mario.
I am, but I've been playing Mario for years too.
So have I. I grew up with Sonic and Mario.
But I'm just saying, I had more fun watching the Sonic movie. There was more jokes that I felt landed in that. But that doesn't mean that the Mario movie's bad. It just means they're both targeting very different audience members. Like, Sonic was targeting people like me, who have been playing the Sonic games for years. The Mario movie is targeting younger audience members who are, you know, getting into gaming, or, you know, they've heard of Mario once or twice.
But also, those who were there for the long ride and getting to see other things that most kids would not know of.
I don't think so. I'm gonna be honest. There are all those references that are really fun and cute, but in terms of the actual film itself, I think the movie for Mario was still a little bit more childish.
That's fair.
And I think that all boils down to having Illumination animating it.
But still, they did a very good job.
They did a great job. I don't think this movie's bad by any means, even if it is a bit more geared in the way of you can put it on for your kids and you can watch it every now and again and have a good time with it. That, I think, works. Or you could just sit down and watch it and have a good time with your friends. That works. But I'd say if you're in your 60s to 70s and going to watch this movie because you think it's some cinema
masterpiece.
Yeah, cinema masterpiece, I would say you're better off spending your ticket elsewhere. But for the Mario movie itself, if you're a Mario fan, if you've got young kids, if you've been playing these games for years, it's absolutely worth a go, because it's probably what we should have gotten back in '93, if I'm gonna be honest. But that's my thoughts on the movie. Any other thoughts on you?
No, not really. I'm kind of done for this one.
Alright. With all that being said, I've been your humble host. Good night, everybody.